So I've successfully extended these two stainless steel rods, cut them to length, and these are going to fit in here. I've got to drill two little holes up there, two little holes down there. I've got to use these bits of leftovers to create the basic platform that will slide up and down here. Now, this is only going to be a decorative piece. It's not going to really operate. The mechanics involved in doing that is beyond me. But yeah, the idea is to take this basic kit. It's an 8-header magnetic racing light tower kit, but you know, reimagine it a little bit just to make this weird and wacky theme park ride, which, yeah, I'm giggling because I know what's coming. You'll see when it is finished. The artwork especially will help tie in everything that you've seen on the layout. The poop chute device, the artwork at the top of that will suddenly make sense. It's all tied into this thing. It's been a long time coming, but yeah, just, I guess you could call this, we're in scratch building mode where, you know, I've lopped off these blades up down here. You see they've got them all the way around. I wanted a nice flat area here, not blades sticking out, because our little rides are going up and down like so. Down the rods. Let's get them apart. Like that. Little people sitting on top. I don't know where I'm getting the seats from. I'll have to make them from something, but you get the idea. It's going to look pretty cool, and really it's the artwork that'll bring this thing to life. Oh, the little figures as well going on. Hopefully I've got a few of those. But yeah, it'll really finish off the theme park area just behind the Ferris wheel. So far so good. Like, the tower itself is complete, it lights up. And there goes everything. Of course, everything's sticking to everything. And yes, welcome to the very messy Tinker Table. Let's continue. Okay, just some prep work here. What I'm using is just some cotton wool balls. Get them from the chemist or the pharmacy or the drugstore, depending on what part of the country, part of the world you're in. I'm just using some rubbing alcohol and I'm just wiping down even the rails as well. Yes, you can, because these rails are something like stainless steel. You're not going to harm them, and you're going to clean them. And I'm just going over the surface, remove any grime, oils, whatever. And I'm going to do this process not once, not twice, but 3 times. Now also, as the cotton ball begins to flatten out, I'm going to douse it again with the cleaner and get it into the groove there and just run it all the way along the section of track. Clean out the groove while we're here. We'll try to. Yeah, there we go. Look at all that. Some dust has settled in there, so that's getting that. Look at that. That's disgusting. Wow. And this has come out of poop chute, so I guess it's no surprise, right? Yeah, disgusting. Oh dear. I'll have to wash my hands now. Okay, so this is the third wipe over. Second one I took it nice and slow, but after 3 times, see there's hardly any dirt coming off that surface. Done all that. So maybe don't necessarily just do it 3 times. Just do it until you're getting barely any dirt off the surface. And again, yeah, make sure those slots are nice and clean. And when there's no dirt coming off the surface, you know you're done. Now, just a little discussion here. I'm deciding the texture, the colours, the whole bit for the surface. There's a few things to point out. I've got this slot invasion guide here. Now, I have heard people suggest paint inside the slot. Bad idea. As you can see, the plastic on the surface is one kind of texture, but in the slot, it's actually a smooth, shiny black plastic. And the idea here is we want the least amount of resistance as our guide is sliding through there. If we're going to start painting in there, like what we're doing here, we're trying to increase the surface tension, create extra grip. Why would you paint in there? Because then this is going to be fighting against that new surface grip, that extra tension, and your cars are slowing down. You want this guide to slide through there effortlessly with the least amount of resistance. So painting inside the slot, that's a bad idea unless you've got some super coating that's going to give it super slide, super ease to go through. I'd leave it as it is. It's designed to be super smooth and the guides will travel through it in an optimal fashion. We're trying to make the cars go faster on this circuit, not slow them down. So with the tape in place, and I'm just letting it sit, and I'm just making sure it is taking and it is sticking. If there's areas where it won't stick, rip it off, start again. But I'm gonna use a safety razor blade just to trim those off along this line. You can see there's a slight gap between the edge of the plastic and the rail. So that's where I'm going to get the blade into and just slide it along very carefully. Get a nice clean edge, so a new sharp blade every time, and that will get this done. But just back to this, because it's going to be the shiny plastic is going to remain, and it's black. Like, I didn't want a black track. Where do you see a black road surface in a racetrack? I've rarely seen that. I don't think I've seen that at all. The idea with repainting this, as far as the visual, I want it to resemble a normal road surface, like out there. So it's not light grey, like concrete. It's more of a charcoal, and it does get dark. You'll see it gets dark on the edge. I don't know if you can see out the window there. And then towards the middle of the road, you've got traffic driving either side. You get this gunk, this dark, I think it's minute bits of tyres ending up on the edges of the track and also down the centre too. So I'm trying to get that sort of effect whilst at the same time doing my best to mask these horrible, hideous dotted white lines, which I'll be glad to see the end of. Because again, what racetrack circuit have you seen where there's a bloody dotted line running down the middle of the track? I haven't seen that, unless it's a road course, you know, that's a public road normally, and they cordon it off to do a race event. That's a different kettle of fish. This is a racetrack, and we don't want a white line down the centre, and it looks rather toyish. So yet another Carrera toyish factor that I'm happily and gleefully getting rid of. But at the same time, I have my limits. I'm not going to be pedantic about it. I've seen some people go to extraordinary lengths to mask the dotted white line, all these treatments they add to it and all sorts of nonsense. And look, admittedly, yeah, their end result, you can't see the white line, but how much money have they spent with all the extra paints and treatments and all that? For me, I'm going to cover over that first, let that dry, then do an overall priming. Then when that main priming coat stops, I'm then going to hit it with whatever the colours I'm doing. In this case, there are 4 colours, starting off with the light primer grey. Then I'm going to hit it with this charcoal colour. There'll be white flecks here and there, and then finally I'll use the flat black on the edges and down the centre. So you won't see that dotted white line unless, given that that's painted on, it creates a different surface to just the plastic. Depending on the angle, the way the light hits the track, where the camera's situated, you might still see the impression of the white lines. You can't get rid of that unless we bloody grind this stuff off, and I'm not willing to be that pedantic. It doesn't bother me that much, and it is the least of my concerns with this exercise. Priority number 1 is increasing the track grip. Priority number 2 is getting the look I'm trying to achieve within the context of my themed style raceway. And way down the bottom, last on the list, is concealing the white dotted line. Least of my concerns. Not going to be pedantic about it, but I think we're going to do okay. So let's proceed. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that was the point of me. The whole point of me going blah, blah, blah for the last 3 or 4 minutes is it because we're not touching inside the slot. It's dark black. That's why I decided I did want a much darker kind of colour scheme on the track, and that means this won't stand out like dog's balls against, say, like a light grey finish. I've seen some people go with the primer grey, and that's enough. That's fine if that's your taste. If you're happy with that, each to their own. For me, I wanted a more darker, more sort of authentic road surface type look, and using the flat black and even down the centre, I think it's gonna visually look a lot more balanced, a lot better. This isn't going to stand out so much like if it was just the light grey. That's my theory. I don't know if we're going to achieve that. We'll just have to see how the project progresses. And the ultimate test is getting it all back on the track, getting it in position, lighting it, putting the cars on and see how it goes. I'm really happy to be doing this at long last. I'm not happy about what a huge task this is. It's going to take forever. What's that? I'm going to try that again, cleaning. But yeah, let's just shake up the cans and get cracking, hey? Fingers crossed this turns out. I really do. I hope this is a worthwhile exercise. My gosh. taking a standard, untuned, untreated standard Revo slot tyre straight out of the box. There's not much in the way of grip going on there on the Carrera track. I can very easily push it across side by side. There's not much going on there. But let's go and try it on one of the lengths. I've just peeled the tape away. Let's see what it's like. Right, so here's our first track section of the day. I've peeled the masking tape away. There's a few little spots where I had to scratch at the paint that had just seeped under ever so slightly, but you would not know that that was Carrera track. 2 days ago, that was Carrera track. The dotted line, you can't really see it, can you? And I've got the sun streaming in here. So done well, and I like the different textures, shading. It does look like real track, and as I had hoped for, the slot itself fits in with the view of the track. If I didn't know any better, it reminds me of vintage scale electric track, really. But it's no longer black, it's dark grey, and you've got that different shading, just subtle. I'm very happy with that, but let's see how our Revo slot goes. We place it in there, and now if I do that, if I really put in some effort, yep, it's still going to do a bit of side swiping, a bit of drifting, but look, for the most part, that's not budging. That is a success, folks. Now, I can't wait to get the other pieces all prepped, peel off all the masking tape. That's the fun part, isn't it? And then get these back on the track. I have done some more. I taped up some more pieces. I actually did the poop shoot not too long ago this morning on day 2 of this exercise. I left that go to last. I wasn't going to do it, but I thought, you know what, while that's out, I might as well do it, and then that'll be the whole middle section of the layout completed. So let's go ahead, get all the track sections all sorted out. I do want to do some work with the guardrail on some of the sections. I'm going to add some artwork to some of them. I'm going to glue them in place so they stop popping out, and then we'll install it on the track. But wow, that is incredible. I'm very, very excited about this, and that's very promising. And doesn't that Revo look magnificent on that track? So, having a closer inspection, so gone all the way from there, a few shadows falling, past the crocodiliac swamp, squeeze through without knocking the shelves off the wall. So we've got that, looking good. Got that, a bit of a hint of the white line there, but I think that's from the daylight coming in. Not to worry, doesn't bother me. For the most part, it's gone. Pretty darn good all through here. Now the soiler, the wire has been run down. I've got to get under the table to wire it up, so we'll see it all lit up in another episode. Gone all the way down the middle there, past the rock band. We've got our Mad Max area. I added some graphics from the movies there. and a gravel effect, a neat gravel effect, which I then embedded into the edge of the track with the clear coat over the top. But I'm going to add some more of that colour on this side of the guardrail, and it'll make more sense, make it a bit more grungy. So we've gone around there. Behind the band stage, we're actually going backwards, aren't we? Up the poop chute. Good grief. And, oh, I just kicked my toe. Oh, God, it hurts. Little toe on the vacuum cleaner. And I nearly knocked I knew I was going to knock that off the wall. Not quite. Yeah, good. So, yeah, there it is there. And there's our spoiler, our related ride. Hope you're wearing your ear, and it says over there. Yeah, so that's pretty much the whole middle section completed. Very happy with how it turned out, and of course it'll wear in, and I'll probably add a few little tricky flourishes here and there, and some probably some interesting racing line marking here and there once I get up to speed with the new airbrush. Got a few ideas. So next I think I'll just continue on from this point here, work my way backwards. I'll get the cage done because that's a real tight corner. Love to get a little bit more grip in there. The bridge, I also moved can't quite see the lane changer there. It was over here. I wasn't liking it there. I wanted something on the back straight there, the final straight, so you can change to come into the pits. That's what it was lacking. Also, I'm not liking the lane changer on the bridge here. So when I rip all that track out to paint it, I'm going to put the lane changer down there. I think that'll be a better spot. Anyway, thinking as I go. So there it is, folks. That's part one of painting the track. That was done with one set of cans, and some of those cans there's still plenty left, so getting good mileage out of it. I think I'm about a third of the way done, but I haven't done any of the lane changer tracks. That'll be a bit of a trick because you've got to cover over the little sensors. They're very small. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen to all these stickers I've stuck all over the track on the main straight. We'll have to figure that out when we get there. But, yeah. Part one so far, so good. And I'll do a little bit more next week. Or maybe the week after. Yeah, that was quite a task. Well, that was a lot of work so far. There's a lot more to do. But it was well worth it. It looks a lot better, a huge improvement the way the track surface looks, and of course the grip has improved, I'd say tenfold. But I might be exaggerating on that, but it definitely has made a huge difference, and I can't wait to get the whole thing done. Folks, just the other night there was a knock on the door, or rather a push of the doorbell, or maybe my system just sensed the presence at the front door there, but I got a little alert on the phone. There's movement at the front door. Went out, opened it up, and this box was sitting there. And I looked up, and just outside the lit front area in the darkness, someone's leaving. I assumed it was an Amazon delivery dude, and I thought, that looks suspiciously like a slot car box. I haven't ordered anything. Not this week. What is this? And then the Amazon delivery guy said something, and I didn't quite catch it. And I'm going, yeah, thanks, mate. And I'm getting ready to go in, and a little voice goes, oh, it's Dan. And I'm squinting through oh, it's Dan from Garage Slotnick. Oh dear. He came back, and wow, folks, Dan from Garage Slotnick. He hinted he was going to build me a slot car a few weeks back, and boy oh boy, he's done exactly that. Now, I was going to save the opening tool now and get a reaction, but I brought Dan in and showed him around the track. Unfortunately, it was half disassembled, so we couldn't have any laps, but I think he was impressed. But I said, no, look, while you're here, I'll open it. At least I'll open it. So I did, and oh my God, wait till you see what this guy has done. He has created a unique slot car for me, and Brisbane's own Dave Volk had a hand in doing this, apparently, to Sneaky Sneaks. And they both know I'm a mad keen Van Halen fan. They also know a bit of trivia that one of my first cars was a Toyota Celica, an old original style model from the late 70s, you know. So that's what they've done. That's what Dan has put together here. I'll just show you. Wait till you see this, folks. This is a mind blower. Feast your eyes on the Franken slot. How's that? Gosh, I hope it's in focus. He's even done a display case with artwork. So I'll put it down on the track here. We'll move the camera and have ourselves a closer look, hey? So here we go, folks, and I've dressed up the scene with an assortment of Van Halen goodies, and I've chosen the cinematic lens on the iPhone, and of course it's focusing on everything but the thing we want to focus on now. It's not too bad at all. There it is. Look, he's done the artwork as well. He's called it Franken slot. Can you believe it? Now, anyone who knows Van Halen is one of Edward Van Halen's first guitars that he tinkered with. God, he did some work on that guitar, chopped it about, and it was tentatively called. So now we've got a real Franken slot here, this Toyota Celica, and you can see inside even the seats are painted with the classic Edward Van Halen red, black and white stripes. He had a lot of his guitars done, that sort of style. Yeah, so what a great idea. That looks absolutely brilliant. I think he's used a Carrera box. So let's crack the box open and have an even closer look. Yeah, just look at this thing, would you? It's come up great. That is so good. Now apparently the driver is supposed to be me in a singlet top. And the helmet, I don't know if you can see in there, but the helmet has even got the Van Halen colours. There's the back of the car. So it's a Dave Volk printed body and chassis, and as usual with Dave Volk's printed cars, it utilises the a slot-it motor pod from the slot-it Universal chassis kit. So I think I can pick it up very carefully now. So let's get it in focus. How good is that? There's the helmet. There's the 3D printed body. Oh, it's a new body style. He's done the new bodies. Focus, please. Thank you. And there's the slotted pod. Yeah, that looks like a Celica. How good is that? And look at this artwork. Like, he's really gone to a lot of effort. If we can only focus, thank you. So we've got some Van Halen guitar picks on there. Franken slot. There's a concert ticket. That's so cool. Covered over with protective plastic. And then the car just goes back in the slot. Now, of course, now that we've got the track sort of half painted, or a third, we've got to try this little beastie out, haven't we? We've just got to try it. And of course, there's only one choice of controller to get the job done. Oh yes, we're going to use the Franken slot to run the Franken slot. Let's do it. Oh yes, it goes. It's like down the new section. Woo! Oh, nice. I'm taking it easy, Dan, if you're watching this. I'm not going too fast. I don't want to stack it. I don't want to scratch it. I can smell the paint. Now, I think I've got something wedged in the slot up the back there because it's hitting something near that change track. Other than that, she's going great. Yeah, something around there. How good is that? We've got a Franken slot. I'll have to have a look what's causing that to get a little bit stuck over. There's something definitely in the groove. Hope I didn't install it backwards. That is incredible. Up to the white line, and there we are. Rock and roll. So there you have it, folks. Isn't that incredible? An actual one-of-a-kind Franken slot. Not this one. This is the Franken slot controller. And now we've got the Franken slot Toyota Celica race car. Look at those colours. Isn't that terrific? So a huge thank you to Dan and Dave. Amazing work. Dan, man, Dan is the man, yes. That's just incredible. What a cool idea to do it in the Ed Van Halen livery like that. That's so cool. I did have a thought quite some time ago. I thought, wonder if you could do a Van Halen car. Never did anything about it. Well, there you go. It's done just like that. And you know what? I think that'll look really cool next to the Demon Fire, another Dave Volk printed body. Yeah, these DIY printed bodies and chassis are getting so good. That car went really well, quite smooth. I wasn't game to really open it up, but maybe later I'll get a bit cheeky and see how fast we can make this thing go. That is fantastic. Thanks again, Dan. Unbelievable. I'm blown away. And especially with the artwork too. Like, what a cool idea. Love these guitar picks here. That's amazing. Let's pop it back in its box. Oh, never mind. I can't get it open. Folks, to finish off, I'd like to show you. I haven't done a track spotlight in a while. So here's one from the UK. Check this one out.
So this is me shed to keep me layout in. Double glazed units. This is where the predators stay, mate. Gotta keep an eye on them predators. Especially when you go into camo mode. So that's it, mate. That's my shed that I have my layout in. So it's all insulated as well. So no, it's all foiled insulation bubble wrap. So it doesn't get too cold in the winter, but not too hot in the summer either. I have 2 floodlights either end in the winter. As you can see in the day, it's quite bright anyway.
Well, Slot Car Adventures, wasn't that cool? Thanks so much, Gary, for sharing your layout with us. Looks awesome. Great use of the space in that shed. And there's some stickers on their way to you right now, mate. Thank you again. And another huge thank you to Dan at Garage Slotneck. What a gift. Isn't that awesome? My very own Frankenslot. I mean, literally, look at that. EVH stripes. So cool. Folks, that's all we've got for you this week. We'll see you next time on Hugh's Garage Slot Car Adventures.